So good morning to all of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. So this is next lecture on numerical analysis. So we have already started our second chapter, that is root finding problems, solution to root finding problems. Just a minute. So what we have discussed in root finding problem. So suppose if you have f of x is equal to 0 equation and you want to find the root of this equation. Root means when you put x into the function, then it will gives you 0. Or you can say where it cuts the graph of the function cuts where it in at x-axis. So you have to find x is equal to p. This is the exact root of this equation. But in the numerical analysis, we know that we will get an approximate solution to this p. So we have various methods here, bisection method. Then we have discussed this method already, a bisection method. Then we have fixed point iteration. And then we have Newton and secant. So all are iterative methods and all method will gives you a sequence. So like if you have an equation here and if you apply any method, means either it is a bisection method, fixed point, Newton, secant, means if I apply any method to this equation, I will get a sequence. So I have to start from somewhere, means in the bisection method, we have started from an interval. Okay, so then we have taken its midpoint, means I got, suppose I'm taking P1. So P1 is a midpoint of A and B. So then we choose the interval in which you are getting opposite sign. Then we get P2, then P3, P4, and so on up to. So this is the sequence generated by the bisection method. And if you apply any method, that method will gives you a sequence, and we will say that sequence will be generated by that particular method. So then we will discuss its convergence also, that how it gives you, how it converts this to your exact value, at which rate it is converging to your exact value, means which sequence is giving you faster route of the convergence. So let us discuss the maximum error bound. Actually, we have done the one example of bisection method. So there you have seen that we got a sequence P1, P2, P3, P4. So this is the sequence generated from the bisection method. Okay, so now Pn is where we stop, means it is the nth iteration after of bisection method. So if suppose we stop up to nth iteration, so that will be my approximating root of the f of x is equal to 0. So now if p is the exact root of this equation and Pn is the approximate root of this equation, so we will find the absolute error in this case. We will find out the absolute error, and we claim that this error will not exceed by b minus a by 2 raised to power n. Means this absolute error will not be exceeded by b minus a, means this is the interval and we are taking the length of this interval b minus a by 2 raised to power n. So here you can say this is our error. This you can say it is a maximum error bound that can occur in the bisection method. So means their difference will not exceed by this number. So we will prove this maximum error bound here.
Ma'am, what is this small p?
Small
P without n, like one is p and one is
p
p.
is exact, na? This is exact root.
Okay.
Means where f of p is exactly equal to 0, and Pn is our approximate root.
Okay.
Where you can say Pn is approximately equal to 0. Okay. So now we have one theorem here. So maximum error bound means here we have taken the conditions of the function. The same condition we have taken that we have taken in IVT, intermediate value theorem, that function is continuous and at the end points of the interval, f of a into f of b is less than 0, means they are of opposite sign. So
Ma'am?
yes,
Ma'am, can you please again explain the bisection method?
you did not attend the last lecture.
Ma'am, I did not understand it. So,
Okay. Actually, suppose we have f of x is equal to 0 equation. So you have to find the root for this equation, suppose, by using bisection method. Okay. So now first if interval is given, then it is okay to you. But if suppose interval is not given to you, that at which interval you have to find the roots of this equation, then you will go with the hit and trial method, that first of all you check that function is continuous. This should be a continuous function. And second thing, you take f of a into f of b is less than 0, means I am choosing the random values. First of all, I can choose at 0 if suppose it is positive, f at 1 suppose it is negative here, then I will choose 0 1 as an interval, that I will claim that root will lie in this interval. And suppose I got positive in this at 1 also, then I will check at 1 at 2 also. Then if it is negative, then I will choose 1 2. So my root will lie in 1 2. So now I will ensure that a root lie in this interval. So then I will work on this interval only by using bisection method. So what bisection does? So in this, we make a first iteration by taking the midpoint of these two. Suppose I'm taking 1 2, then I will take 1 plus 2 by 2, that will gives you 1.5. So that bisects the interval into two parts, 1 2. This is 1.5. So root will lie either in this interval, means this part or this part. So again, the sign of 1.5 will decide that which interval you will choose, because you always choose the opposite sign interval. So suppose f of 1 was positive because we have taken this, and f of 2 was negative. Suppose f of 1.5 will be positive also. Then you neglect this term because you are getting positive sign here, same sign here. But here you are getting opposite sign, positive then negative. You choose this interval. So again, you bisect this interval, means you take x2 as 1.5 plus 2 divided by 2. So again, you divide the interval into two parts. Again, you choose the opposite sign interval. Again, you bisect the interval. Means you have to use IVT as well as bisection together. Means you always take that interval in which you are getting opposite sign. Then you bisect the interval. Then again, you check the sign of the middle point. Then this way you will get a sequence of the roots. That is a approximating root. So now what will be the stopping criteria in this case? Suppose I am checking x1 minus x2, means I found the two iterations. If it is less than your tolerance, means that tolerance will be given to you. So you always check in each iteration, after each iteration, that x1 minus x2 is less than your tolerance, then x2 will be your root. Otherwise, if it is not, then you have to find the third iteration. Means you have to apply bisection again. After finding third iteration, then again you check x2 minus x3. If it is less than your tolerance, then it is okay. Otherwise, you have to find, if it is not, then you have to find x4. So this way you will proceed. First you try, then if there is any problem, then let me know. Okay.
okay, ma'am.
Yes. So now we have a function here, and we have taken that same condition that we have taken in the IVT, that function is continuous. Actually, CAB is nothing but it is a space of continuous functions, or you can say set of continuous functions. Set of continuous functions on AB. So we are taking f from this space. So f is continuous on AB. And f of a into f of b is less than 0. So these are two conditions of IVT. Then bisection method generates a sequence Pn n equal to 1 to infinity. So we are using bisection method on this equation. Then we got Pn as a sequence. So this is a sequence generated from the bisection method. Approximating a 0 P of f means that is a exact value. 0 of f with Pn minus P is less than equal to B minus A by 2 raised to power n. So means that error will not exceed by B minus A by 2 raised to power n. So this you have to prove. So now let us prove it. So if I take AB interval, means the interval is given to you. Now take length of the interval. Length of AB interval. So if I write AB here in the real line, so it is AB. So what is the length of this interval? Suppose I am taking 3, 4 interval. So what is the length of this interval? It is just 4 minus 3. So similar way, you can find the length of the interval B minus A. So here I am taking A is equal to A1. I am denoting this A is equal to A1 and B is equal to B1. So it will be B1 minus A1. Okay. So now here I have chosen this interval. Now I am applying the bisection method on this interval. So after applying bisection method and IVT, means I'm taking it together. I'm applying bisection means I'm taking its midpoint P1. So P1 belongs to A1, B1 and IVT also. IVT means I have checked the sign of P1, f of P1, and I have chosen the interval also, that the root will lie in this interval or in this interval, that I have chosen that you are getting the opposite sign. Suppose it is here, then I have chosen the interval also. Means after applying bisection method, that will gives you the midpoint, that will bisect the interval. Then by using the IVT, I have chosen the interval also. So what we got? We get the root lie in, suppose it is A2, B2. Means either I choose this interval or this interval. Because this is a general function, I cannot say about negative and positive sign here. So suppose I am taking A1, P1. Then I will call A1 as A2, P1 as B2. And if I choose P1 and B1, then I will choose P1 as A2 and B1 as B2. Okay, so whatever interval I will choose in which you are getting opposite sign, I will call this as A2, B2. That is that interval in which our root lie. Okay, so now again check the length of A2, B2. It is nothing but B2 minus A2. So if I choose this A2 and B2, then it will be B2 minus A2. So now can you write in the terms of B1, A1? Because this length, here you can see this length is the half of this length. So I can write 1 by 2 of B1 minus A1. Or I can write 1 by 2 of B minus A. Okay. So again, I apply bisection method on this interval now. So again, applying bisection method and IVT, we get A3, B3. So then I will call that, means suppose I choose this interval, then I again take P2. So it will bisect the interval into two parts. So then we will check the sign of f of P2, means at which you are getting opposite sign. Then I will call that interval as A3, B3. You're getting opposite sign at A3, B3. So then and we have taken this in which our root of f of x is equal to 0 line. Okay. So now again, now I have got A3, B3. So again, I take the length of A3, B3. What is the length of A3, B3? It is B3 minus A3. So what it is? If I take this interval, this is 1/4 time of full interval or half of this interval. So I can write here, it is 1/2 of B2 minus A2, or I can write 1/4 time of B1 minus A1. So it is similar to say 1/2, and it is also equal to 1/2 B1 minus A1. So it is 2 square. Or I can write 1/2 square into B minus A. So continue this process. Up to n iteration. So what you got? That the root lie in A and Bn. So after nth iterations, we got this interval in which our root lie. Okay. So here you can see we have taken A1, B1 here. So then we have taken P1 as a midpoint of these two. So P1 belongs to A1, B1. Then suppose I got this as a A2, B2. Then I take P2. So P2 belongs to A2, B2. So this way, if I write Pn, that belongs to A and Bn. Okay. So the length of this interval will be A and Bn. What will be the length of A and Bn? It is Bn minus An mod. So what is in the terms of B minus A? What should I write here? It is in the terms of
1/2 power n.
Not 1 by
Minus 1.
n minus 1. Yes. 2 raised by n minus 1 B minus A. So it will be. So you got this term here. So now what we have to prove? We have to prove that this will not exceed by this number. So let us take this expression, means left hand side of this expression. So now we take Pn minus P. So Pn is midpoint of An plus Bn by 2. So I can replace it with An plus Bn divided by 2 minus P. Okay. So now we have to write it less than equal to something. So what should I write here? Means if I write, because P is our exact value. And obviously we have taken that interval in which our root lie. Means at last also A and Bn is that interval in which our exact root also lie here. So P also belongs to A and Bn. So it means An is less than equal to P is less than equal to Bn. If I write minus An, that will be greater than equal to minus P. So minus P will be less than equal to minus An. So minus P will be replaced with minus An. So we can write it less than equal to sign An plus Bn by 2 minus An. That will give you less than equal to inequality you got. So if you solve it, it will be Bn minus An by 2. So at last you will get Pn minus P will be less than equal to Bn minus An divided by 2. So now what is this? Bn minus An. This is the length of the interval A and Bn, and it is equal to 1/2 raised to power n minus 1 into B minus A. 2 into 2n minus 1. So it is multiplied. So it is b minus a by 2 raised to power n. So it means pn minus p is less than equal to b minus a by 2 raised to power n. So this way you can say, because n is greater than equal to 1, obviously. So this is the maximum error bound can occur in the bisection method.
मैं last slide करोगे?
So here I can write the reason that why I have chosen this inequality.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. So let us take one example that actually this maximum error bound will helps you to find the number of iterations also, because here n is a number of iterations. Means after getting n iteration, you are getting this maximum error bound. So to achieve, if I say, if I want to achieve this error bound, then I can find the number of iterations also. Means if I take one simple example, determine the number of iterations necessary to solve f of x is equal to 0 with the accuracy 10 raised to minus 3 using a1 is equal to 1 and b1 is equal to 2. Means I have interval is 1, 2, and accuracy means if I apply bisection method on this equation, then I want my approximating root with will be with the accuracy of 10 raised to minus 3. Means that will be accurate up to 10 raised to minus 3 places. So using this interval 1, 2. So after how many iteration you will get this accuracy? So if I write the maximum error bound for bisection method, that is pn minus p, which is less than equal to b minus a, or I can write b1 minus a1 because a1 is b1 and given 2 raised to power n. So now the accuracy is given that the accuracy will not exceed by 10 raised to power minus 3. Means this error bound will not exceed by 10 raised to power minus 3. So then what will be the number of iteration? Means how many iteration you have to perform for the bisection method so that your approximating root you will get with the accuracy of 10 raised to power minus 3. Okay, so here b1 is 2 minus 1 divided by 2 raised to power n, which is less than equal to 10 raised to power minus 3. So if I write it is 1 only, so I will write 2 raised to power n, and I will take, I'm taking reciprocal here, so it will become greater than equal to 10 raised to power 3. So now taking log both sides, it will give you n log 2 will be greater than equal to 3 log 10. So find n from here. N will be greater than equal to 3 log 10 and divide by log 2. So that is the approximating value is 9.965. So now n is a number of iterations, so n will be natural number. So obviously if n is greater than equal to some number, means that is in the decimal, so you always write largest number, means you add 1 to this number, that is 10. So after 10 iteration, you will get this accuracy, 10 raised to minus 3. Actually, if this is the maximum error, you have to remember also that is a formula, pn minus p is less than equal to b minus a by 2 raised to power n. Some books have written this formula and some books write this formula also. Means if I take, if I take log on both sides, suppose if I take log here only, in your MATLAB file, this formula is given in the terms of log. So don't confuse with that formula, they are same actually. log of b minus a minus n log 2 log of pn minus p is less than equal to. So if you find n from here, that will gives you n log 2. If I write it here, less than equal to log of b minus a minus log of pn minus p. So n will be less than equal to log of b minus a minus log of pn minus, sorry, it will be p, then divide by log 2. So this will be the to find the number of iterations. So either you remember this formula or this formula in terms of log. Okay, so now your bisection method is over, and here we have done one method, that is bisection method. So in bisection method, two types of question can come. Three type you can say, that you have to find the root, find root by bisection method. Second, proof of maximum error bound. And third, that is find the number of iterations. Number of iteration will, that you have to find if tolerance is given to you. Okay, so now you can do any question of bisection method. So let us move on the next topic, that is next method, that is fixed point iteration. So fixed point iteration, actually from the name you can say it is not a root finding problem method, means that will not gives you the root of the equation. So from the fixed point iteration, it means you will get the fixed point for the equation. So now what do you mean by fixed point first of all? So a fixed point for a function g of x is a number at which the value of the function does not change. So it means if I'm taking, if p is the fixed point, for a function, suppose I'm taking g of x, if g of p equal to p, means if I input a number into the function, that will give you the same number as output. So that number will be the fixed point for the function. So here means what do you mean by root here? Suppose I'm taking another function f of x. So root means if I put p into the function, I will get 0. So that is the meaning of root. But here, what is a fixed point? When you put that number into the function, that will give the same value as a output. So a root, if I draw it graphically, if I draw f of x graphically, then I will say where it cuts the x-axis, that is p. Okay. Now what is the graphical representation of fixed point? So how do you graph of this fixed point? Where it cuts means if I say this is g of x, so where it's a fixed point lie in the graphic, means if I put p, I should get p only. But here if I put p, then y value will be 0, means at x-axis, if I put p here, then I will get y as a 0. So here if I put p, I should get p. It means the graph of the function where it cuts the y is equal to x line. The function can also at two fixed point also. So here you can say if I take any p value here, So that will gives you g of p only. That is p. So that is our graphical representation of fixed point, that if you put p, then you will get p only. Okay. So now question is that why we are doing fixed point iteration in root finding problems. We are doing the fixed point that root finding problems, methods to root finding problem. So why we are doing fixed point iteration here? So actually fixed point iteration will gives you the fixed point only. So now how to apply this means in the root finding problem. Suppose you have a root finding problem, f of x is equal to 0. Okay. So now if it is the question that you have to find the root of this equation by using the fixed point iteration. So then what to do? You have to convert your problem to the fixed point problem first. So this is the first step in the fixed point iteration. You have to convert this problem into the fixed point problem. This is the fixed point problem. Here you can see this is root finding problem because x is a root of this equation. When you put x into the function, you are getting 0 here. But here you can say, if I put x into the function, I am getting x here. So this is fixed point problem. So if I take x is equal to p is the root of this equation, then I will say if I put p into the equation, then p will be the fixed point for this g. So now you are taking two different function. This function will be given to you and you have to choose your g of x such that the same p, which is the fixed point for this function g, that same p will be the root for this function, for this given equation. So this first step is important. Yes.
मैम ये जो आपने ग्राफ बनाया ये जस्ट बनाना है ये वाला ग्राफ
This is any random function we are taking, general function I'm taking. So this function, I want to find the fixed point for the function. So if I put p here, I should get p, na? Means I should get the same value. So now this is y is equal to x line. This is y is equal to x line. So here you can see if I put any value here, p, then y is also p. So the graph of the function means graph of the fixed point for any function, it will be lie where it cuts the y is equal to x line. Actually, there are two fixed point. Here also you will get the same fixed point. Means there is nothing else, means graphically you can say where g of x cuts y is equal to x line. So now you understand this problem means how I'm connecting root finding problem to the fixed point problem. So initially you have root finding problem and you are constructing any another function g of x such that the value that I will find out by the fixed point iteration, because fixed point iteration will give you the fixed point only. So if I choose g of x, suppose this function will be given to you, and with the help of this f of x, I have constructed g of x here. Means I will construct this function in such a way that same p, which is the fixed point for this function, means this equation will be the root for this equation. So I will, after constructing this g of x, I will apply fixed point iteration method on this g of x. Then by using the method, I will get a sequence, and that sequence, suppose I'm getting the sequence, and that sequence will gives you the p, suppose, and this p is the fixed point for this equation. And that is done. Now that p, the same p is the root for this equation. So this is the procedure that the first step is main. You have to find the g of x. So this is the question. So now we will see the connection between, first of all, determine any fixed point of the function. G of x is x square minus 2. So how to find the fixed point for this simple function? If I use the analytic method, so let if P is the fixed point. Fixed point for g of x. Then you can write g of P is equal to P. Then I will write P square minus P square minus 2 is equal to P. So now question was, you have to find the fixed point for this function or equation, you can say. So now to find the fixed point for this equation, we have to convert this problem to the root finding problem. Now here you can say, now it is f of P equal to 0. The same P, which is root of this equation, is the fixed point for this equation. So here you can connect root finding problem and fixed point problem. Means in the fixed point problem, you have P in the left hand side and g of P in the right hand side. And here you can say in the root finding problem, you have 0 and here you have f of P. So now if you find the root of this equation, that will give you the fixed point for this problem. So P will be, what is P? If I find, it is 2 and minus 1. So 2 and minus 1 means if I put P, 2 and minus 1 are the root of this equation. And if I put 2 here, I will get 2 as fixed point. And if I put minus 1, this is also fixed point. So there are two fixed points for this function. So now here you can see the connection between fixed point problem and root finding problems. Means if I find the general form, then what can it be? So given a root, suppose you have a root finding problem. Given a root finding problem, f of x is equal to 0. So let P be the root of this equation. So we can define a function. So we have taken f of x is equal to 0 and P is the root of this equation. It means f of P is equal to 0. Okay. So now we will define a function g of x with the fixed point at P. So can you define a g of x? Means I will define a g of x in such a way that if I put P, then I will get P again. P is the root of this equation and I will construct a g of x such that P is the fixed point for this function. So can I take x minus f of x? Will it work? Because if I put P here, I will get P only. P only. So with the help of given equation, means given function, you will construct your g of x. And this is not only one way to construct a g of x. There are several ways to construct a g of x. Because if I write x plus f of x, that will also work. Because f of P is always 0. So g of P is equal to P plus f of P, that is also P. Actually, there are several ways to construct g of x, because if I write g of x is equal to x plus c f of x, and c you can take any real number. Means I can take 1 by 2, 1 by 4, 1 by 10. You can take any number here. Minus 1, minus 3, minus 100 I can take. So if I put P here, I will get P again. So here you have root finding problem and you have converted this problem to the fixed point problem by constructing various functions. So this is the way that you can go from root finding problem to the fixed point problem. So can you go reverse? Means if you have fixed point problem and you can go to the root finding problem.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can you please मतलब मैम ये पेज करना.
Actually, this method is little bit tougher. I'm not saying it is difficult method. It is difficult than bisection method, because the bisection is very easy method. So only thing you have to construct your g of x. Then there is nothing to do with this method. So don't confuse to construct g of x. We will do practice also, that how to construct g of x. So this is the only thing. The difficult part is only to construct a g of x in this method, nothing else. So let us do second that opposite part of this. Means if you have a function, if the function g of x has a fixed point P, that is g of p equal to p, then the function defined by, can you define f of x for which p is the root of this equation, as a root at point p? Can you find g of f of x with the help of g of x? Means p iska fixed point hai, and if I put p here, I will get 0. I should get 0. So you can write x minus g of x. There are only two possible ways, g of x minus f of x. Either you write this, because if I write f of p, if I put p into this function, then I will get 0, because g of p is equal to p only. Okay, so actually what is the procedure? What is the procedure? That suppose you have f of x is equal to 0. So in the first step, you have to construct g of x. This is the main part. Construct g of x. This is the most important part. Then after constructing g of x, apply fixed point iteration on g of x. So that will gives you the fixed point for g. So that fixed point will be the same fixed point will be the root for. Means in the third step, you don't do anything. There is nothing to do. A root of f of x. So this is the main part, g of x. So now I will give you one simple example that how to construct g of x. So suppose you have an equation x cube plus 4x square minus 10 equal to 0 has a root, unique root in 1, 2. Write all the possible ways. Actually, this is the root finding problem. F of x is equal to 0. This is f of x equal to 0. This is root finding problem. And you have to write all the possible ways to change the equation to the fixed point problem. So I will convert this problem to the x is equal to g of x type. Yeah, sure. Actually, you will not get anything from the procedure. Actually, when you did not get the first step, so there is nothing to do. So we will do it in the first. We will do only first step, then you will do. So how to means this is f of x is equal to 0 type equation, and we have to construct it in the terms of x is equal to g of x type. So how to do it? First step I can write, means here I can show you that f of x is equal to 0. So if you add x, because I want x is equal to something, so if you add x to the in both side, then I will get x is equal to g of x type, because this I can write as a g of x. So I can write x is equal to x plus x cube plus 4x square minus 10. So this is my one one way to write g of x. Another way I can write subtraction, means x minus x cube plus 4x square minus 10. This is the another way to write g of x. Any other way? There are several ways actually. X is equal to x plus c x cube plus 4x square minus 10 is equal to g3 of x. If you change the c, you will get these. Means if I take c is equal to 1, that will give you g1 only. If you take c is equal to -1, that will give you g2 only. So any other way? There are actually several ways to write. If I write x cube here, means from this equation you can write x cube here and 10 minus 4x square in the right hand side. Then I will write x here, 10 minus 4x square, then 1/3. This is also one way to write g of x, because we always want x to the left side and g of x remaining function will be in the right hand side. So that is our this one type. From the equation only you will get the forms. So here if I write a 4x square in the left hand side, 10 minus x cube in the right hand side. So I will get 10 minus x cube divide by 4, then square root of it. This is also one type. One way. Any other way? If I take x square common from the equation, x plus 4 is equal to 10, then I will get 10 by x plus 4. This is also one way. Another way to write. Any other way? Actually, there are several ways to write. So if I divide it by x, if I divide this equation by x, then I will get, suppose I'm dividing by x square. So it will give you 4x plus 4 is equal to 10. 10 by x square. So x will be 10 by x square minus 4. This is also another way. Any other way? Can you write any other way to write?
Ma'am, in sixth method, we can do x plus 4 is equal to 10 by x square. No,
10
ma'am,
by x.
above this line.
Yes,
X.
means here also I have taken 10 by x square minus 4.
Okay, okay.
Any other? If I divide by x, then I will get x square plus 4x is equal to 10 by x. So I will get x square 10 by x minus 4x. Then I will take its root. It is g8 of x. And from here only, if I write x is equal to 10 by x, I think I have taken this 10 by x minus x square and divide by 1/4. So this is also one way. Means there are several ways to write. So actually time is over. So we will do it later. That
Ma'am,
yes.
ma'am, I could please show the procedure.
Which one?
Ma'am, procedure.
Yes, yes, sure. Actually, first we will concentrate on our first step only. That is most important. So we will construct our g of x, because there are several ways, but we don't have to take the several g of x. We have to choose only one appropriate g of x for it. So
Excuse me,
okay.
ma'am. Mini
Yeah.
ma'am. I have a class at 9:40.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So you practice these questions. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.